So I wanted to be able to give you a little feeling for the Heart Center, types 2, 3, and 4, with just a few examples. You're going to have plenty of material. You're going to have movies and preachers, but I wanted to add to that a few other maybe recognizable people. Um, First, the 2. Um, Type 2s are the most people-oriented types. They focus and are intent on sharing whatever they can with others. They genuinely enjoy supporting other people and ultimately will sacrifice almost anything for others. When I preached on the types, I used the book of Ruth in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, who was willing to go with her mother-in-law, Naomi, um, and to sacrifice her own homeland, really, for the sake of her mother-in-law. Twos not only want to share with others, but they want to make good things happen for other people. They will stay up late all night, baking cookies or writing thank you notes or bringing food or giving gifts or remembering birthdays. They are just committed to other people. I saw a cartoon. Nancy Reagan, as you know, just died, and I saw a cartoon where she's in heaven and she is adjusting Ronald Reagan's uh, halo, and the caption is, "Let me help you with that, Ronnie," as she's adjusting his halo. So that just is a classic too, I think. They also just go, go, go. They'll have everything has an orientation toward thinking about the other person ahead of time. What would they like? So that the candy on their desk in the office is what the other people in the office like to eat. My sister is just a classic too. Her home is always open for parties or visits. She houses interns or members of her own family. Her life is full to the brim with opportunities to care for other people. There's kind of a saying about twos: if there's nothing to do for others, there's nothing to do. And so you can kind of get a flavor for the fact that there's some boundary issues that go on, and a little codependence that can go on with twos as well, just because there is so much focus on the other person. Threes, also in the Heart Center, but they have quite a different way of being in the world. They're also very focused on others, but they're more focused on what others think about them. And so, in some ways, the threes are the stars of the Enneagram. Tremendous drive and ambition and belief in themselves and kind of a pushing of themselves to achieve. If you saw Richard Gere in An Officer and a Gentleman, just pushing and pushing and pushing himself to achieve, it has that kind of tenacity, that kind of focus for threes. When we look at, I look at, again, the Hebrew Bible, Jacob is for me kind of a typical three. He is Israel. And he is doggedly pursuing that kind of goal of achievement. I keep saying the same thing, but they do whatever it takes to shine. Threes do. they're always presentable and appropriate. They find what others they find to do in the world what other people value. Their family or their community values. Quite diplomatic, always putting their best foot forward. So I think about Oprah Winfrey, able to surprisingly rise from nothing into stardom. Bill Clinton is also a 3. So we see this capacity to present themselves in a way that others admire. They're also unbelievably dedicated to work, tireless in their efforts. They also enjoy helping others do the same thing. So, if it's an Olympic gold medalist, after they retire, they're going to help other people achieve that same kind of winning awards and success that they achieved. They also have a hard time slowing down. They're kind of super mom, super dad. I have a good friend who she walks fast, she talks quickly. It's kind of clipped because she's on to the next thing. Their schedule is full. She brought me over a casserole when my husband was ill, and brought me over a casserole right after she'd come back from a 10-day trip. So it is that being able to pack that kind of thing in. So the 4, again, very different in the way in which they present themselves. 4 is the most keenly aware of their emotional state. When they're balanced, they are like exquisitely attuned to the real depths of what it means to be a human being. Leonard Cohen, in both his poetry and his music, captures in such depth the human experience. Maya Angelou, as well, able to understand, very attuned to the human experience, and in some sense, the tragic human experience. Very subtle in their expressiveness, emotionally very honest, and through their own work, they encourage other people to do that same kind of self-reflection. So if you think about a poet like Rumi, you're encountering someone of deep capacity when we're looking at Rumi, but one who is able through his own poetry to help other individuals touch into their own depths. And they seek out what is aesthetically pleasing. They have their own kind of personal style. They have their own personal way of expressing themselves, whether it's dressing or decorating or whatever image, and they create a certain kind of image. Frida Kahlo is a 4. And let me say this, when I say Frida Kahlo is a 4, what I mean to say is by everything that she has displayed in her life, it appears that she is a 4. She did not take the Enneagram test and tell us that she was a 4. So I wanted to be clear about that. They're also, 4s are kind of the outsiders. They are the ones that didn't quite necessarily fit into their families. They're the ones that feel a little bit separate from the ordinary run of the mill. And their suffering often is what has set them apart from others. When I preached on the types, I preached on Mary Magdalene in her own uniqueness as one who was wounded, had demons, but she understood Jesus in a very profound way.